I'm John, and tonight I want answers about Steve Jobs and Republican presidential candidates. There's no stopping us now, because we're live.
John wants answers. John wants answers. Give John answers. Give John answers. John wants answers. John wants answers. Give John answers now.
Check your calendar. If it says October 13th, 2011, then we are live. If it doesn't say that on your calendar, then you're probably watching me on YouTube or maybe the podcast. We've got a podcast now. Wow, it's been like a long time since we did a show. I think last show was September 1st, like 6 weeks ago.
A long time since you did a show.
Yes.
I'm on TV all the time.
I know.
I'm a star.
I was on vacation in Canada, and I went on the Edge Walk in Toronto, hanging off the edge of the CN Tower. Look, there's a picture of me hanging off the edge. That's me above the city of Toronto. Like, see those little buildings? They are actually huge, tall buildings. And I'm towering above them, leaning back, thinking about how I could die. So, I'm back.
CN Tower?
The Canadian National Tower. CN Tower.
Your country is so unimaginative, you name your buildings for the country they're in.
No. There's a railroad called the Canadian National Railroad who constructed
Also
the tower
named
after
for the
themselves.
country it's in.
Kind of like American Airlines, or
But American Airlines flies to Canada.
American Broadcasting Company. Like, anyways, my co-host, my friend, my guest tonight is Keith Stattenfield.
Yeah.
He's the host of Keith Explains
I am.
on this station.
And the internet.
It's a great show where he has a variety of topics, but he often lies.
Yeah.
His show's on Wednesdays at 8:30. So it was on yesterday and you missed it.
Yeah. Well, you didn't see it.
Yeah.
Let's not say missed. There's a implication there.
He's my guest because he's a news junkie, history buff, philosophy major, and his smile lights up a room.
They should have cut to me and I would have smiled.
Oh.
Yeah, but see, it's on you. Watch, I had gone.
You're looking at the wrong camera. Yeah.
Well, what?
No, not that camera. Yeah, there you go.
They should turn the lights on. They should turn the little red lights on.
They do the lights on. You can't see them. Okay.
Right.
If you've never seen the show before,
And you haven't.
this is like a courtroom drama.
It's not.
I'm the prosecutor.
He's not.
My guest is the expert witness. And you at home and in the studio are the jury. It's your job to convict or acquit the topics that we'll be presenting to you tonight.
I forgot to put my phone in airplane mode. Have I ruined the show?
Well, you have ruined the show, but not because of the airplane mode.
Yeah. Good going. Touche.
Great news. This
Great
is great news. Tonight, we have a new executive producer of the show,
Wow.
Lisa Tamaki. Here's a picture of her. This was taken, I think, 10 years ago.
Yeah. She's cute.
So this is great because people see me on TV and they think I'm this rich, wealthy TV star. In fact, whenever I go to San Francisco, people on the street, they see me and they say, "Hey, can I have some spare change?"
Yeah.
So, people think I'm very wealthy from the show. But truth of the matter is, we don't get paid for this. In fact, we have to pay money to do this show and not get any money for it.
Yeah, we're practically philanthropers.
I know. So it's great that now, finally, I'm getting someone else to pay for this show.
You're a genius. You're a freaking show-making genius is what you are.
I don't know how I pulled it off, but one of the only shows that's being paid for. We'll be taking your tweets. So you can tweet us at @JohnWantsAnswer. There's no S at the end.
There's no S. Because if there were, it would stand for suck.
It would stand for suck, but we don't suck. As you all know if you've seen the show before. So we'll be taking your tweets later in the show. So send it now, and later in the show we'll be reading them. Send us your questions and stuff. We have a Twitter contest like usual. Tweet us saying you want a headshot, and I'll autograph this and I'll send it off to you somehow. So get tweeting now, but if you've already won one in the past, you're not eligible for another.
One's not exactly the right word. Received. If you've already received one.
Fine. Go to our website at johnwantsanswers.com. There you'll find links to all of our shows,
Uh-huh.
bios of our guests, funny pictures of us, T-shirts and mugs. So you can go home, get a T-shirt and a mug, and with your friends, you can do your own John Wants Answers show in your basement.
Well, you want 2 mugs. You'd want 2 mugs.
Well, we have 2 mugs here, but they could, just have
Well,
one
each
mug.
person. Well, I think they would want to go for authenticity.
Yeah, they need like one for whoever is John,
Yeah.
and one for whoever is the
Yeah.
guest.
Oh, and here's a tip. Here's a tip for you at home. After you get the coffee cups, don't put anything in them, because Lord knows the last thing you want when you're on TV is like some nice water to drink.
They're props.
Only this show had an executive producer who could keep track of things like that.
On our website also is a link to the live internet stream. If you're not watching us live on KMVT right now, you could have been watching us live on the internet. That's a note for all you YouTube and podcast people. 'Cause
Both of you.
announcing tonight, we have a new podcast. Go to iTunes, type in John Wants Answers into the search field, and up pops me. And you can click on subscribe and then put all my episodes on your iPhone or iPad or computer or whatever you use to look at your video podcast.
I noticed in the store you have the trailing S. So does it stand for suck there? Or is there some...
No, this suck rule
Is only on Twitter.
applies to Twitter
Only applies to-
names.
Wow.
If you look at Twitter and see people with S at the end, those people suck. On Twitter. On Facebook, they're okay.
Okay.
And everywhere else, they're okay. We have our best review we ever got from the show, which is Best Show Ever from quasi-celebrity Snaggy of The Joy of Tech.
Yeah, she has a very sarcastic comic strip, too.
It's the guy.
Yeah,
you keep
you're
saying
right.
this.
Yeah, he's the guy. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Our first topic, Steve Jobs.
Now I'm going to be sad. That music made me extra sad.
That's sad music?
That was sad before.
Whoa, that was... Did that tear you up a little bit?
Just a bit. Thank you, control room.
So we talked about Steve Jobs' last show.
We did.
6 weeks ago.
Yes, we did.
Because he had just resigned.
He had.
This past week, he had just passed away.
Resigned again, so to speak.
Yes. So we kind of knew this was coming.
Well,
Last show.
No, we didn't.
I kind of knew it was coming. I mean, for him
Well,
to...
someday. Eventually, yes. I was certain that...
Well, for him to resign from Apple, it'd have to mean that his health was in pretty dire circumstances.
We stayed on the board, though.
That's what I had. I had this little
Glimmer of hope.
in
This
the back of my
glimmer of
head.
hope. Yes,
Like,
this
he's
God-
still an employee. He's still the chairman. So maybe he's going to turn things around and even maybe come back.
Maybe.
I remember last Monday,
Not now.
I was saying to you, "Hey, he could still come back, right?" And you were like, "Sure."
Sure.
But no, not anymore.
Oh, now we're sad. And it would have been 2 Mondays ago. This last Monday, we knew he wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to confirm for the people at home. I know the new executive producer likes things
Accurate?
with clarity.
So I thought we'd tell some Steve Jobs stories.
Okay?
My
have
first
a lot.
memory of Steve Jobs is 1985.
Okay?
I'm in the supermarket with my mom,
Okay?
and we're talking about how Steve Jobs just got fired from
Got
Apple.
canned? Wow. You and your mom had some...
And we never talk about computers or stuff, so it's amazing that we would have this conversation.
Yeah.
And her advice to me was make sure you always own 51% of the company.
Wow.
So I've taken that to heart. Every
Yeah.
computer
That
company I've
would have
started.
been great advice, because Apple's worth like $400 billion. So that would make you a $200 billionaire.
She didn't imply that I would be the one starting Apple. Next, I was in college, and I sent him an email when he's at Next.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor, false rumor, that he was going to be in Toronto. So I said, "Hey, come speak at our computer club."
Wow. So
and
you
so-
were pushy from a young age.
Yeah. So I emailed him. He wrote back saying,
He said no.
"I will not be in Toronto." It was very short, but
Did he say I will not be in Toronto, or I will not be in Toronto speaking at your computer club? Because there's a difference between those two.
he just said, "I will not be in Toronto."
Okay, so
Yeah.
so he let you down easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Whenever I saw him at Apple in the halls,
Yes.
he'd always be friendly. I'd say hello.
was?
I'd say probably hey,
Hello. I tried to keep it a little formal. I often did hello.
Hello, sir.
There was always an implied sir.
Yeah.
Whenever I saw him in the hallways.
And he always said hi back.
He did. He was very
And I caught him
pleasant.
whistling in the hallway once. This one time, we had this communications meeting
Yes.
from the whole company, right?
Well,
and
generally, yes. That's what they're for.
Q&A session.
Yes.
I get to ask a question.
Dumbass.
We had this icon garden in front of our buildings. You don't need to know the details. And so my question was,
Look it up on Wikipedia.
we used to have these cute, fun icons
These big
in
pieces
front of the building,
big pieces of plywood.
and they're gone. Are they coming back, is my question. And then, I wouldn't say he yelled at me.
He yelled at you. I was there.
Kind of stood up and got really excited and said they weren't fun, they weren't cute, they were pixelated, they were ugly. And he went off for a while. And everyone was very uncomfortable. And there's like,
Yeah, especially for
nervous
you,
laughter.
because I knew you. I was like, my friend John's about to be fired.
so what I
But
learned,
somehow you kept on.
what I learned from this experience was that Steve was not into nostalgia. He was just on to looking forward to the future and not being bogged down by what was released last year or last decade.
And he hates pixelated icons.
Yeah. Another time he yelled at me.
Yeah.
We were having this demo for a product we were working on.
Uh-huh.
I was very excited, so I made sure I was near the front of the crowd of people that was around him.
Yeah.
He didn't like it.
No, I'm sure he didn't.
He vocally expressed his dislike.
Yes.
I cannot repeat what he
Was
said
there
here.
pointing involved?
There was some pointing. I can't say what he said. We're popular with the under 10 crowd, so I can't say what he said.
Was there pointing at you?
Yes, there was pointing at me. Mistaken pointing at me.
Okay.
Because I was the one to be near the front, because I was very excited.
Okay, here's the question. So, given that now on 2 occasions you have been yelled at, what have you learned? What did you learn from this?
I'm going to tell you what I learned. So he yelled, didn't like it. I learned that he doesn't yell to be mean. He yelled because he demanded excellence.
Okay.
And if you didn't give excellence, he thought either you didn't know what excellence was,
In
or
your
perhaps-
case, very, very, very likely.
or perhaps you chose not to do excellence. And so, people make him out to be this guy who yells all the time for fun at people for no reason. But no, he had reasons, and he wasn't.
See,
that
I would have
mean guy.
I would have taken a very different lesson away from that.
Yeah.
Perhaps you don't need to sit in the front row.
Yes, I was young. I was young back then. I mean, you look at me now, and I'm, look pretty.
Yeah, you look
mature,
distinguished.
mature,
You look
distinguished,
yes,
yes.
beyond your years.
But as any young, excited
He
engineer
never
would be,
yelled at me.
Yeah.
He held the door a couple times
I
when we were
would-
walking through it. I almost stepped on his foot once when he was buying a cookie in the line behind me in the cafeteria. And I said, "Excuse me," not even realizing it was him.
I'll
And
tell you
he
this,
said something along the lines of, "Oh, that's not a problem."
I tell you though,
Words to live by.
I would not trade away being yelled at by Steve Jobs for anything.
Really?
That's a story to keep for your life. And see, I've been telling these stories for 15 years.
$200 billion. You could buy a good story for
Oh, well,
half
okay.
of that. I mean, you could have probably paid him to yell at you for $50 billion, and then you'd have an extra $150 billion.
but you digress. So, do you have any other stories of Steve Jobs besides stepping on?
I held the door for him a couple times.
We all did because he had no badge. We all held doors open for Steve Jobs.
He had a badge sometimes.
Yeah.
No, the only real story I have, actually, he wasn't even... The only story where he vaguely impacted my life at all was the day at WWDC when he apparently brought out a coffin and killed macOS 9.
Your
project.
project.
I didn't go to WWDC that day, but I just got an amazing series of phone calls that afternoon of, "Hey, Keith, did you hear Steve Jobs had macOS 9 in a coffin?" So I had to picture it in my head for years.
I was there.
Then I finally found it on YouTube, and it was nice.
Yeah.
Kind of reverential. In
It's
a
very
campy
classy.
kind of way.
it's very
Yeah,
classy.
well, if you look at it again on YouTube,
Respectful.
there's a bit of camp.
Yeah.
It's not quite like, 1965 Batman level camp, but there's a little cheese there. There was a little bit of something.